Spotify is the world's biggest music streaming service. It hosts 70 million songs to a user base of over 400 million, including 180 million premium subscribers. It dominates the market with more than double the subscribers of even its closest competitor. In 2021, they made nearly 10 billion in revenue and streamed nearly 110 billion hours of music. Despite these figures, the majority of artists received on average $0.003 per stream. That means to make even $1, they'd need around 330 streams. Touring is the main source of income for many artists, and the COVID-19 pandemic brought that to a complete halt for nearly 2 years. In that time, the net worth of Spotify's founder, Daniel Ek, rocketed to nearly $5 billion, and the Spotify's market value tripled to $67 billion, all while venues permanently shut down, a third of all music jobs in the UK were wiped out, and artists saw diminishing support from the platform. This is the way the music died.
Yo, my name's Milky.
I'm Mishkin Fitzgerald.
I'm Georgia Train.
I'm Krista Banks, CEO and founder of Not Saints, the UK's only record label working with musicians in recovery from alcoholism and drug addiction.
I'm an MC, rapper, artist, songwriter.
I play and sing in a band called BirdEatsBaby. I also have a solo project. I'm a music teacher, I'm an engineer, producer and a writer.
I've been on Spotify for approximately 15 years with a number of album releases, both for myself as an artist, but also for other musicians and other artists as a songwriter.
We work with about 11 separate acts, so about 30 odd musicians, all in recovery.
I've accumulated probably about 20 million plays on Spotify. However, I still have an issue with what Spotify is doing to the creativity of young artists.
It was very different to what I expected. I thought it would be a lot easier having the platforms there to be able to help you get your music heard and have a reward back to invest into your next project as well. And the amount of time I put into my work and my own money I've invested into it, I thought you'd at least make even half of what you've invested in back. You'd make something back, but seeing the results come back is soul destroying. It really is.
Over the years, the band has sort of adapted to a lot of changes in the music industry. And the main thing that I've noticed is that the more popular we get and the more plays we get, we seem to just be getting less money. Whereas initially when we were touring and selling CDs and we had a physical object to pass over, then we would earn money from that. But since streaming is now completely dominating the entire industry, we've got more fans than ever, but we're not really making any money from it.
I think Spotify's belligerence in not paying acceptable royalties to artists and to labels is really definitely inhibiting independent labels' ability to actually make money through recorded music. So we can only really make money through acts touring or through merchandising, and even that is a nominal amount. But when you're investing hundreds and thousands of pounds into making records and then releasing them, and the principal method of people consuming music is through streaming platforms, and Spotify are just not paying that revenue back to labels and to artists, and we're just not seeing the return that we need, it's just stifling.
One of the things that I have spotted is people are now designing their songs based on some of Spotify's requirements. Spotify will not consider a play unless you listen past 30 seconds. So I've got musicians, particularly young musicians, coming to me and asking if we can write songs in a more kind of hook-based style. So making sure that there's at least one hook, if not kind of, can we get to the chorus within the first 30 seconds? So I think that that's changing the way that people are looking at creativity, songwriting, and just their own artistic integrity.
As an independent label founder, it really affects us not receiving the revenue that we feel, would be fair to then reinvest into new talent, to bring new talent through the system. So it's why we're hearing continuously the same styles of music and the same production values are coming through in new music, because
the algorithm is dictating how music sounds. I now get musicians whose main priority when they're making music is to get on a certain playlist. And in order to do that, they're crafting their song within a very set guideline that Spotify essentially is looking out for. So that's dictating what instruments they can use, what BPM it can be, and even like what tone of voice to use as you sing.
You haven't got anybody taking a punt on anything that's original or anything that's different. It really stops us looking at what should be coming next in the industry.
If you do a job and you get paid for it, then you feel like you've done a good job. That every other industry works that way. You do the work, you get the money. With this industry, you do the work, for it to just be kind of taken away by a massive company, sold for you, and then you get nothing for it.
Like the amount of streams I've got, over 70,000 streams on one of my songs, and to get nothing back is unbelievable. By the time I've paid my label their percentage,
all of the overheads that go with it,
my producer his percentage,
and then you get your royalty statement back from the likes of Spotify,
and I'm left with what, £35. It's a joke,
and you just want to weep.
And I think people aren't really aware of how little Spotify is actually paying the artist. They think, okay, it's probably not much, but I mean, it's microscopic. It's almost completely pointless.
The worst thing even is writing a royalty statement every 6 months to an artist and going, can you send us an invoice for 18 quid? You know, and they've been sitting there waiting 6 months for you to send that email, and it's like, yeah, sorry, that's what Spotify thinks you're worth.
To make money out of my music, to actually, I have to find some part-time work as well on the side, and the only income I really get is from gigs.
I basically work pretty much 7 days a week, most weeks. I teach piano lessons, I do session work, I write on other people's music, basically anything that I can get money from, because I'm not making money from the actual music that I write.
And I don't really think that's fair. I don't think anyone could argue that that's fair. You know, if the artists make a record, surely they should get paid for it. Surely as their label, we should, you know, see a return on our investment. You know, when we're there to market it, we're there to help these artists to just have their music heard.
Music is hard work. It's not something that's just you can do a 9 to 5 and then come home.
On a day of working in the studio, I wake up 8 o'clock and I can write and work all the way through till midnight, if not past midnight.
It's sometimes 12-hour days if you're doing a shoot, or if you have a gig, you have to travel a really long way, work all evening, and then drive back and get back at 3 a.m. in the morning, get up the next day and do your other music job. It's incredibly hard work, and
even getting paid for that, the amount of hours I put into my rehearsals is unbelievable. Like, I have to rehearse to get my stage presence perfect, to get my breathing perfect. And that's the part you don't see, like, and the way I have to interact with a crowd to get the crowd eating out of the palm of my hand.
We know that Spotify doesn't necessarily pay in a friendly manner, but the flip side is that Daniel Ek has also kind of insisted that musicians need to have consistency over quality. For example, you know, he suggests that the way that his framework works for artists is if you're uploading on a regular basis, you will get paid. That forms a problem for artists who are using studios and who are using real instruments, who cannot afford to hire a studio or to hire musicians or producers on a regular basis. It doesn't form a problem for wealthy musicians who might have their own studio or might have the connections. So what I think is happening is that we're creating a wealth divide by using Spotify, which means that the majority of music that you're going to be listening to is either created very cheaply and very conveyor belt style, or it is created by wealthy people and wealthy people only.
Yeah, it has a huge effect on our mental health. It's something I think about every day when I'm working. You know, I have to take on 2 or 3 other jobs just to make ends meet.
So I obsess on how many streams I've had, how many views I've had, how many this I've had, and it's tiring. Especially when you're writing the music and you're editing and you put your online videos on YouTube and then Spotify, and you've got to try and balance it and manage it all. It's fucking hard.
And yeah, it makes me feel like shit. It makes me feel like giving up my band. What's the point if it's completely worthless? We have loads of fans who love us, but we never get paid, so...
So Not Saints was set up in 2018 to work with musicians in recovery from addiction. You know, music is in the blood. That's the thing. It's not a pipe dream for a lot of people. It's actually something they live and breathe. And when you come from that place of absolute darkness, you know, you want to have a go at doing something that you're passionate about. It's a second chance at life.
Yeah, it's been hard. It has. I went through rehab, treatment centre, and I do CA meetings, AA meetings, and just to try and keep myself on the straight and narrow.
For a musician coming out of addiction, you know, they may have been unemployed for a really long time, may have been homeless, been in prison, and then to say to them, you know, you're going to get paid, but you're going to get paid 50 quid for that album you've been making for a year. It's a really soul-destroying situation, and for a lot of musicians in recovery and a lot of the people that we work with, it's a very, very horrible realisation that, you know, that you cannot make money out of recording.
Because you're doing so good and you're working so hard and you're like, yeah, and then you see no result come back, and all of a sudden your brain goes, you're shit, the whole world's laughing at you and there's nothing you can do about it, you're no good, you're not going to get anywhere with this. And that's what it would do to my mental health. It will turn me, just dig me into a deeper hole.
There's the argument that, yeah, you can make all this money from touring and live gigs, but for a lot of the artists we work with, you know, touring these days is it's just not an option either, because it's too stressful. There's too much in the way for them. So yeah, it's a very soul destroying thing for them, for us, you know, to turn around to someone who's put their life and soul into a record and then to go, yeah, sorry, this big corporation in America just don't value the work that you do.
When I first started doing music, it was because I loved it and it made me really happy and it connected me with other people, and I didn't mind at the beginning that I wasn't making too much money because I was just starting out, as you are in any business. You know, you have to start out, work hard, and then you get the benefits later on. But, you know, my band's been going for over 15 years. We've accumulated lots of fans, we've toured the world and done all these things that you would think would make us a successful band. But when Spotify basically pay us nothing, it's completely unsustainable, and therefore you're having to do so much to just survive, and makes me kind of want to give up a lot. I feel like, is my music actually worthless? And those are the questions that are going through your mind the whole time, and I know I'm not the only artist that feels that way.
When I really think about where I've had to come through, I've had to go to hell and back, to be honest with you, with my mental health, with my addiction, with life. But I've used all of that and I put it into my music. I turn negative to positive. I try to in every situation possible, and I will bounce back again and hit with another song and another song and another song.
You know, how do you take risks? You know, major labels don't take risks. They never really have. They like the sure bet, you know, and that's absolutely fine. That's their place. It's always been the independents that are the cutting edge of music, and actually signing artists that are up and coming, that are doing something different, doing something new. If we can't afford to do that, if we can't afford to take those risks, then what does the future of the music industry look like?
You're now experiencing something which has most of the time been generated on a laptop. I don't have an issue with that. I think a lot of great music is produced on a laptop, but it's not true to life in sense of using real musicians. And what that means is that you're, I think, experiencing some kind of oral audio dysmorphia, much like somebody would be on Instagram if they were only seeing life through a filter. Our ears become accustomed very quickly to what music should sound like. I think that your ear will become accustomed to perfect pitch, perfect timing, this robotic sound. That's what's going to start feeling comfortable to us. It's not that you shouldn't be listening to that music, but it's important to know that it's not reality.
During the pandemic was when we really started to see the effects that Spotify has had on the music industry. The money that we make from touring and merchandise is really the only revenue that you can make as a musician. And when that was taken away, instead of helping musicians and reinvesting the money that they were making, they basically just took it all. So Spotify turned over billions of pounds during 2020, when the entire music industry was on its knees, when artists were losing everything, when venues were shutting down. Instead of stepping up and saying, okay, these are the creators of this music that we have, they just siphoned all of the money out of the music industry and invested it in things that they wanted to. I mean, I just can't think of anything less ethical than that.
I think everyone would love to see, you know, independent musicians and labels and everybody rise up with flaming torches and pitchforks and march on Spotify and demand change, and if it doesn't happen, we're not going home and all that sort of thing. But that's, you know, it's not the world in which we live. I think we need to be much more pragmatic about it, and I think proper regulation of the streaming market, I think, would be the key thing to do, and the UK are really in a position to be able to do that. When something is that wrong, you know, regulators can step in and actually go, no, you're acting illegally, this is not how you should be behaving, and you need to sort this out. They would have the powers to issue fines, and then those fines would be used to pay back musicians who have been done over by Spotify. So I think proper regulation is really the way to go, and I think the UK can basically turn around to Spotify and go, this is how we're operating. And if Spotify pull out of the UK market, then is that such a bad thing?
I think it's just crazy that the musician is the only one not getting paid in the whole chain.
Spotify have basically legalised piracy, music piracy. They've taken the Napster model and sharing music, and they've just gone, well, we'll just charge very little, and we'll pay very little, and we'll line our own pockets, and sail off into the sunset with our Jolly Roger flying high.
I just feel like it should be treated as a proper job. It should. Why not? I work fucking hard. Sorry to swear, but I do. I work hard at what I do.
If you go to a show, the sound people are getting paid, the bar staff are getting paid, the venue gets ticket money. I mean, it's really, the musician is the last person on that list to get paid. They're the creators of the music, they're the ones putting all the work in, they're the ones making music, and everybody wants music, they want to listen to it all the time, it's used in everything. People can't live without music, but the musicians can't live.
Some people wanna play, but they don't wanna pay. When I've been writing rhymes all day. Some people wanna play, but they don't wanna pay. When I've been writing rhymes all day. We deserve respect, Mr. Daniel freaking Eck. I can squeeze your Swedish neck for this worthless, meaningless check. Someone needs to intercept and correct the way their music's sold on the internet. Pay me one more penny, you got plenty in the bank. You want lyric after lyric, I got plenty in the tank. What you talking about? Sort it out. My work ethic's amazing, but my hope and faith's decaying from the way you keep on paying all day. Some people wanna play, but they don't wanna pay. When I've been writing rhymes all day.